Year, in commemoration of the second anniversary of the Songhwa of the Reverend Sun Myung Moon. This time, our seminar is especially held to highlight the peace movement developed by the founders in Nongsin, South Korea. Today, we have wonderful speakers who can share with you about lots of beautiful activities and experiences they have taken part in the American continent. I myself have also many unforgettable historic moments and experience in developing WFWP for the last 20-some years. However, today, I would like to share more about our understanding and affection for the vision and achievement of Reverend Sun Myung Moon. As you just watched the video, Reverend Sun Myung Moon was a global peace leader and champion who dedicated his whole life to bring about the liberation of God, the salvation of humanity, and the realization of a world of peace with absolute faith in God. Looking back, his great vision and achievement for the humanity living as one family, which no one in human history could ever have dreamed of on this scale. We cannot help but miss him with all of our heart. I met Father Moon as a little refugee girl in 1955 during the Korean War period. Next year, 2015, will be my 60-year anniversary of joining this peace movement. For the past, For the past 60 years of my life, I have attended Father Moon and Mother Moon as the true parents of humankind and have continued to work in their peace movement. Of course, it was not easy and simple for me at all to follow and practice his teachings. I had to overcome numerous difficulties and challenges with tears and sweat. But I can say now, I have been leading the most beautiful and worthwhile life because of the true parents. In May of this year, I was appointed as a special emissary to the East European region by Mother Moon, and I recently returned from a months-long visit to 13 countries. Starting from the Czech Republic, I visited Poland and Hungary, as well as several countries in the Balkan Peninsula. When I saw how the peace movement advocated by true parents was being developed worldwide, I was deeply touched and inspired. In particular, I heard vivid testimony relating to how Father Moon tried to spread the gospel of freedom through underground mission work more than 20 years before the East European nations were freed from communist rule in 1990. When I knew that many leaders who were called to participate in this historic mission were subjected to imprisonment and even martyrdom, I could not help but be moved to tears. After more than 20 years since the countries of Eastern Europe were freed from communism, some countries do not yet have a stable political or social structure. They still suffer from economic hardships and various conflicts. However, even under such difficult circumstances, the true family values education movement carried out through the Family Federation for World Peace, the Ambassadors for Peace movement centered on Universal Peace Federation, the Women's Peace movement carried out through WFWP, and the Pure Love movement of youth were being actively developed in each of the 15 countries of Eastern Europe. Most honored guests, beloved WFP leaders and members, the peace movement of the Father Moon was begun from his religious movement with the Declaration of Godism in 1954. Father Moon told us that God, who is the creator of the entire universe, is the parent of humankind. But he became a God of heart-rending sorrow, suffering in anguish due to the fall of humankind. He explained that the ultimate goal of the kingdom of God is the liberation of God and the salvation of humankind. Moreover, God's purpose of creation is completed when we realize the eternal world of peace here on this earth. The task he faced at the time was to foil the strategy of communists in the 1970s, which was to communize the entire world under the Soviet Union. In particular, Father Moon supported and guided the Washington Times newspaper to play a central role in bringing down the Berlin Wall, the breaking up the Soviet Union, and ultimately ending the Cold War. What he accomplished at the time can only be expressed as a heroic feat. Father Moon also clarified that another serious factor that obstructs the peace of humankind is the serious conflict between religions and between races. From an early time in his ministry, he had promoted interdenominational, interreligious, and interracial activities to foster reconciliation and unity. He strongly advocated the reformation of the United Nations and emphasized that in order for the UN to play its role as the ultimate mediating organization for world peace, an interreligious and international council of world peace should be established within the UN. After the end of the Cold War, Father and Mother Moon founded the Women's Federation for World Peace in 1992 and declared the advent of the global era of women. They emphasized that a new leadership based on the maternal love of women is essential to realize world peace. In a founding keynote address, Mother Moon stated, "The peace movement of the Women's Federation for World Peace is not a women's rights movement for the sole benefit of women. Rather, it aimed to build ideal nations and ideal world by forming ideal families through true love. And in order to realize world peace, women should demonstrate leading role in all fields, such as politics, economics, culture, and society, to bring an end to the history of male-centered wars and conflicts. Women should expand the culture of peace centered on maternal characteristics. In 1994, Father and Mother Moon commissioned 1,600 Japanese women volunteer workers to 160 nations across the world to practice their teaching, to live for the sake of others. They initiated educational projects, held system ceremonies for peace to resolve conflicts and struggles, and laid the foundation for women's peace movement. The founders themselves, if you just watch the video, made speech tours across the world to inaugurate WFWP national chapters worldwide and encourage them working in all corners of the globe. During the past 18 years, WFWP has also annually organized the Women's Conference for Peace in the Middle East, which is a peace movement based on dialogue between different religions and races. Women leaders from the Middle East, the most explosive region of conflicts in the world, come together to search for new directions to build peace in the region. The Korean Peninsula, where North Korea peacefully confronts South Korea, WFWP has developed the Global 1% Love Share Project to support the needy women and children in the North Korea. WFWP has facilitated dialogues between North and South Korea to seek reconciliation before politics. Since bringing peace in these two regions, the Middle East and the Korean Peninsula is the most pressing task for the future of humanity. WFWP will continue to develop these efforts as a major project. As a result of its worldwide activities, WFWP was approved by the United Nations Economic and Social Council as a UN NGO in general consultative status in 1997. Since then, this status has been continuously reapproved at the evaluations held every 4 years. WFWP is commended as an exemplary NGO in the UN. Mrs. Caroline Henshin will report about this status more clearly, more deeply. Respected peace-loving women leaders, as I traveled throughout Eastern Europe, I realized how much this region needs education in the area of God-centered marriage and family values. We, the WFWP, have emphasized the dignity of the true families formed through the union of a pure man and woman as the most important value. In order to protect this precious value, it will be necessary to continue advocate educational programs and campaigns. Once again, I strongly encourage the women of the world to strengthen their network to concretely deal with immoral social changes. Distinguished peace leaders, on July 16th of 2012, just before his Songpa, Father Moon invited women representatives from 192 nations around the world to Korea to hold the inauguration ceremony of the Able Women UN. He emphasized that from now on, WFWP should not be satisfied by carrying out independent activities as an UN NGO. The time has come when it is imperative for WFWP to join hands with other NGOs on a global scale, and furthermore, cooperate with the governmental organizations as well to develop their peace movement. Upholding his will, WFWP has named this project the Global Women's Peace Network, GWPN, and we are actively expanding this movement in every continent and nation. It is true that for a long time in history, we women have been discriminated against, prevented from taking part in social development. Leadership centered on men and power has too often turned into conflicts and resulted in violence and war. From now on, however, we need to pursue a new paradigm in which we change and develop our society through love and generosity, based on the maternal leadership qualities of women. According to statistics, the higher the number of women participating in decision-making in an organization, the less there is of cooperation and conflict. When the status of women is established, clarifying that they are not subordinates of men, but rather they partners on an equal footing, our society will develop and grow well. This is the original social structure envisioned by God. Distinguished peace-loving women leaders, it is said that God helps those who help themselves. We women should first newly recognize the needs of this age and the mission of women and prepare ourselves. And we should stabilize the family, which is the most basic unit of the society, through love, and participate in the development of our society in our maternal capacity. Let us also develop political awareness, become decision makers, and work at the forefront in promoting the culture of peace. Distinguished peace-loving leaders, thank you very much for your attending and attention. I pray for your good health and success. Thank you very much.